everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are for another AFL 2022 season review. And in today's season review, I'm going to be reviewing the Fremantle Dockers 2022 AFL season. So of course in today's video it's going to be same as normal with the season reviews, and this series is going really quickly. And at the end of the video, I'm also going to be going over Fremantle's trade period as well, as this is a massive trade period for them. But of course, as normal, let's go ahead and hop into the what's in today's episode. But before we do, just going to go over the order of elimination with you all again. So 8th was Richmond, 7th was Western Bulldogs, 6th was Melbourne because they were eliminated on the Friday night. The Dockers are in for one more day than them being eliminated on the Saturday night. So, of course, as per usual, recapping the season and the ladder position, highlights, best win, good players, lowlights, worst loss, what's next, trade period and coach, massive stuff revolving the trade period. Many players want out, but there's also some coming in, recap and final words. So, Fremantle ended up finishing 5th, and they finished in the ranking in 5th as well, with a win, loss, 15 wins, 16 losses and 1 draw, which did end up costing their spot in the top 4 because Collingwood was 16-6 with a point number of 64. So devastating there for the Dockers, a devastating draw as well, and they were lucky for it to be a draw because it could have easily been a loss to Richmond. 62 points with a percentage of 117. So, round 1 for the Dockers started off to be a fairy tale, not a nightmare, versus Adelaide. They won by one singular point due to Heath Chapman with his saving act on the goal line to save a goal, and they didn't rush it through for it to be the first draw of the season in round 1. They kept it alive, slammed it back into play, and win by 1 point. Round number 2, disappointing loss to the Saints in Perth. I reckon they should have won that game, but the Saints just proved to be the better team. Round 3, smashed the Eagles in the Derby. Round 4, comfortably got over the Giants. And then round 5, they just smashed the Bombers by 48 points. Round 6, good stuff against the Blues, winning by 35 in Perth. Round 7, they beat the Cats at Cardinia Park by 3 points. It's a tough thing to do down there for the Dockers. It's one of the longest road trips in footy, especially from Perth to Geelong. And they pulled it off in some sort of fashion as well. Then they comfortably beat up North Melbourne by 78 points. And then they lost to the Suns by 36 points in the end. Lost to the Suns by 36 in a disappointing game, very wet game as well. But yeah, Dockers don't play in the wet well. So some of these losses came against in the wet, I guess. And then again, same thing for round I can't remember what round it was, but same thing against their game against Collingwood in Perth, lost by 36 points due to wet weather. And then in round 11, things changed. They beat the Demons to end. The Demons were 10-0 going into the game, and they won. And then they beat Brisbane as well, got over Hawthorn, and then they lost to Carlton by 31 at Marvel, which is a bit of a surprise because the Dockers don't mind Marvel. Beat the Power in the end. They comfortably got over the Saints. Lost to Sydney in Perth, which was almost a bit of a surprise. But again, though, they fought hard, but again, just couldn't quite get the points. Draw with Richmond, and then they got thumped by Melbourne. They beat the Dogs, and then they did get over the Eagles in round 22 by 24 in the wet. Bit of a low-scoring sloppy derby. Before then travelling to Canberra to finish off their campaign for round 23 on a pretty strong note with a 20-point win. And then they got over the Dogs in one of the comebacks of the season. Yes, one of the comebacks of the season against the Western Bulldogs by 13 points after trailing by as much as 41. And then in the semi-finals, they just got absolutely thumped by Collingwood to lose by 20. And that was the end of their season. And, of course, David Mundy goes out retired as well, with another final series next to his name, however. So, of course, best win of the season. Look, round 1, superb for the Dockers. That match-saving act by Heath Chapman, fantastic. But again, though, I feel like it is pretty hard to go past the Cats at Geelong, and then also the Demons at the time. That was a very significant win too. So I'm putting it the Demons and the Cats were their best wins, with the Crows game in 3rd spot. Worst loss. Now, there has been a couple of poor losses for the Dockers, especially that semi-final, but I'm going to say they had, let's see. They did have a pretty poor loss to Gold Coast in the wet, but let's see, what have we got? They did have a few poor losses, but I'm going to have to say the one against, the one against Melbourne was a disappointing loss. Also against Gold Coast was a disappointing loss as well, and same against Carlton. It was most of their wet weather games that were their disappointing losses this year. However, Fremantle have been very busy at the trade table, and I'm going to be bringing up Rory Lobb in just a minute, but I do want to say a couple of other things first. Griffin Logan, Darcy Tucker both find their way to North Melbourne. Fremantle get a future second, future third, and future fourth round pick. That's a win-win for both parties. However, I do feel like the Kangaroos are winning that deal more than what the Dockers are. That's two established players as well. But as future second round pick, if you feel like North aren't going anywhere next year, that's pick 19 or pick 20 or pick 21. And then you suppose there's bids, pick 21. So that's still a very, if North finish bottom, if they improve a little bit, you could be looking at pick 25. That's a good pick in the draft still. Round 3, again, you'd be looking at 30s perhaps. Late 30s, early 40s, and then round 4 pick, which you don't really worry about. And they've on traded that anyway. So, yes, they've lost Griffin Logan, Darcy Tucker. Now, Rory Lobb, just want to talk about him really quickly because they have traded to get Josh Corbett down to the Dockers. Yep, they've got Josh Corbett. Could they now give off Rory Lobb? Now, I know this isn't going to sound great. Oh, Josh Corbett, Rory Lobb, they're definitely not the same people. You wouldn't trade for them any other day. But if the Dogs do put forward a decent selection, like you'd be thinking early second, late first round pick, future first, future second could get the job done, then then it's not too bad of a loss. You do have Josh Corbett, but he's probably going to take a bit of time as well. And then also Jeremy Sharp wants to go to the Dockers as well. That deal is the Suns are asking for a hefty price. Surely a second round or a future second should get the job done. You'd have to think. And then Luke Jackson, that's the only other real question mark remaining. I reckon he'll probably find his way to the Dockers, but it's going to be tough again. They're going to have high asking prices in Melbourne. And yeah, it is going to be tough for the Dockers to get their man. And I don't think anyone else is left at this point. Yes, Blake Acres also left Fremantle as well. He is pick up of the trade period at this current point. He was traded for a future third round pick. But the Dockers are doing well with their future picks. So I feel like they might either trade them to get back into this year's draft or trade them for some of their other swaps as well. But yeah, Blake Acres, that's another disappointing leave with still some other question marks. Lobb, Henry. So there's still a lot to work through for the Dockers, but their trade target still being Sharp, Jackson. So they've still got a lot to do to the Dockers. Time is running out, but again though, negotiations should be moving on. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. On this bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.